I'll be honest with you guys, I'm sort of struggling right now when it comes to video ideas. That's why I haven't really uploaded a whole lot in the past 5 or 6 days. So I figured today would be a great time to do one of these interactive videos. I really enjoy making them. I know you guys really enjoy them as well. We're going to play some NHL Would You Rather today. If this is your first time watching an NHL Would You Rather on the channel, it's pretty simple. I'm sure you're all familiar with the game Would You Rather. It's that just with NHL scenarios. I made the post on the community tab last night. As of the time I'm recording this, there are 343 comments on that post, so thank you to everybody who left a comment. I wish I could feature them all. Don't sweat it if your comment isn't featured in today's video. There's going to be many other interactive videos like this leading up to the start of the 2020-21 NHL season, whenever that may be, hopefully on January 13th, fingers crossed. But before we go any further, be sure to go follow my social medias like Instagram and Twitter. Links to those will be down below in the description. And most importantly, if this is your first time on the channel and you want more NHL content just like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And now let's begin. The first comment of the video comes from New York Thunder, who says, would you rather win the cup but never reach the playoffs again in a decade, or make it to the Stanley Cup Finals each year for a decade but never win? This is a pretty easy one for me. I'm definitely going to go with win the Stanley Cup and then not make the playoffs again for a decade. The whole goal of every player in the NHL and every team in the NHL is ultimately to win a Stanley Cup, right? And could you imagine making the Stanley Cup Finals every year for a decade but losing every single year, whether you're a fan of that team or a player on the team? That would be awful. I definitely wouldn't want to go through that. Moving along now to the next comment. This one comes from Thomas H. It was actually one of the most liked comments on the entire post. Thomas says, would you rather Matthews and Riley or Pettersson and Hughes? So a couple of young duos. And this is tough because like I would rather Matthews over Pettersson, but then I would rather Hughes over Riley. So it kind of evens things out. If this is like a single game scenario, because Thomas didn't specify, I would probably go with Matthews and Riley. But then on the other hand, if it was something like which duo would you want to start your franchise with out of these two, I would probably go with Pettersson and Hughes. This next comment comes from Gotham K, who says, would you rather have Louis Eriksson's contract or Lucic's contract? I'm assuming you mean like on my favorite team. If Detroit had to take on one of these contracts and I had to choose which one, I think I would go with Louis Eriksson. They're both making $6 million a season, but Louis Eriksson's is up at the end of the 2020-21 season, while Lucic's isn't up until the following season. I would say at this stage in their careers, Lucic is probably the more useful player than Louis Eriksson, but again, it just comes down to Lucic having that extra year, so I would rather have Eriksson's contract. Moving along now, this next comment comes from Harrible Meister, who says, would you rather the Red Wings acquire a big-time goaltender, Vezina capable, in their mid-20s, or a big-time defenseman, Norris capable? Kind of vague, but I'm not sure who to give examples of. This is a very tough one. I was leaning more towards picking the Norris capable defenseman, but I think I'm actually going to go with the Vezina capable goaltender. You can't win games in the NHL without good goaltending, and if you have one of the best goalies in the NHL, no matter if your team's playing good or bad, they're more often than not going to give you a chance to win every single night. I'm going to give an example. So this past season's Winnipeg Jets, if you take Connor Hellebuck off of that team and replace him with an average or a little bit below average level goaltender, but then you also give them Roman Josi, the Norris Trophy winner from this past season, I don't think that team is near as good as they were. I don't think they're finishing 15th overall in the NHL. You see where I'm going with that? I just feel like it's kind of more important to have an amazing goaltender than an amazing defenseman. Next comment comes from random hockey YouTuber who says, would you rather have prime Carey Price or prime Henrik Lundqvist? Both of these guys have won a Vezina trophy. Lundqvist has a career .918 save percentage. Price has a career .917 save percentage. Carey Price also has won a Jennings on top of his Vezina and has a Ted Lindsay and a Hart trophy, and as a goaltender that is insanely impressive. I guess I'll go with having prime Carey Price, but it's really close and you really can't go wrong with either of these guys. Moving on now, this next comment comes from Daquan, who says, would you rather the NHL be played in hub cities this year or for them to go play normally at all the teams' arenas? Honestly, I don't have a preference. I don't think they're going to do hub cities. It's just broken down into 4 different divisions and you're only going to play teams within your division. The 2 hub cities obviously worked amazing in the playoffs. It was extremely successful, but I don't think that's something that is sustainable for an entire regular season. I'd prefer teams playing in their own arenas. I think everybody would, but in the end, I just want to watch hockey, so whatever they have to do to make this work, that's what I hope happens. Moving on now, this next comment comes from AC8 Hockey, who says, would you rather Pavel Datsyuk and Henrik Zetterberg or Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby all in their primes? Love your videos and keep up the work. I appreciate the kind words. I know what you're trying to do here though. For most people this would be a no-brainer, but you think since I'm a Red Wings fan, maybe I would show a little bit of bias, but come on, this is a no-brainer and it should be for anybody, Red Wings fan or not. I'm going with Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby hands down. Trust me, I love Zetterberg and Datsyuk as much as the next person. I have a signed jersey of each of those guys next to each other hanging up above me as I'm recording this, and in their primes they were amazing. Datsyuk especially, in his prime he was one of the very best players in the entire league, but I mean come on, you'd be crazy not to go with Crosby and Malkin here. This next comment comes from Jacob Vita, who says team of 2005 draft class or team of 2015 draft class. So from 2005, the big names to come from that draft are obviously Sidney Crosby, Carey Price, Anze Kopitar, just to name a few. There's obviously a lot of other really solid players to come from the 05 draft, but those are sort of just the headliners. It is a solid draft for sure. Call me crazy, but I'm going with the 2015 draft class on this one, and I don't really think it's all that close. McDavid, Eichel, Marner, those are some of the headliners, and there's so many others I could name. Like the majority of the young stars that we see in the NHL today came from the 2015 draft. It's still early, but I really think the 2015 draft has a good shot at being the greatest draft in NHL history. Next up, this comment comes from Nystrom, who says, would you rather have Nabokov or Kiprusoff? I'm definitely going with Mika Kiprusoff on this one. I feel like people forget just how good he was and how much Calgary actually relied on him. From the 05-06 season up until the 2011-2012 season, which was his second last season in the NHL, he played 70 or more games in each of those seasons. That's insane. He won 40 or more games in a season 3 times. He won 35 or more games in a season 7 times. Won the Jennings and the Vezina in 05-06. Like, Kipper was a beast. Nabokov was definitely good too for many years for the San Jose Sharks, but I'm a big Kipper fan, so I gotta go with him. Continuing on now, this next comment comes from Anthony, who says, would you rather have the first overall pick or 2 random picks in the top 10? This is definitely a good one. I feel like it sort of all comes down to what draft it is. Like, say if it was the 2017 draft, there wasn't really a consensus number 1 pick. It was kind of Nico Hischier and Nolan Patrick. In a draft like that, I would rather have 2 random picks in the top 10. But then say if it's like the 2015 draft with McDavid or the 2016 draft with Matthews, I would obviously rather have the first overall pick than 2 random picks in the top 10 for those ones. So yeah, again, I definitely feel like it all comes down to what draft it is, but since I have to pick one, I feel like more often than not, you'd probably want the first overall pick, so I'll go with that. Next up, we have a comment from Awesome Zach. It's a similar question to the last one. Would you rather have a late first round pick, like in the 28 to 31 range, or 2 early second round picks from 32 to 37? For this one, I would 1000% go with having the 2 early second round picks as opposed to a late first round pick. Think of it like this, I'll get more specific. Would you rather have pick number 30, so the second last pick in round 1, or have picks 34 and 35? There's a lot higher chance you draft a good NHL player when you have 2 chances at it as opposed to 1, and the picks are kind of in the same range. This next comment comes from Joseph Zita, who says, would you rather score the game winner in Game 7 OT or score a hat trick in a 3-2 regulation win in Game 7? Man, for me, honestly, I feel like it kind of depends what round. Like if it's the Stanley Cup final, Game 7, honestly, I think I'd probably go with the overtime winner. To me, that would be more memorable. Like say if Sidney Crosby scored a hat trick and Team Canada beat USA 3-2 in regulation back in the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver, I don't think that would have been as memorable as his golden goal. So yeah, again, it kind of depends on what round it is, but if we're talking Game 7 Stanley Cup final, I'm gonna go with the overtime winner. This next question comes from Young Grady, who says, as a Detroit fan, would you rather have an overachiever year and fight for a playoff spot, or have an underwhelming season and finish worse than last year? It would probably be more beneficial for Detroit's future if they had another really bad season and got, you know, a top 3 pick potentially, but I'm the type of fan who, no matter the situation, I want my favorite team to win games. I never ever cheer for Detroit to lose, so I would definitely go with the overachiever year and have them competing for a playoff spot. I don't know if I could go through another season like the one that they just had. It was hard to watch and at times just downright painful. Next up, we have another goaltender question here from Michael. Would you rather have Prime Hasek or Prime Marty to start your franchise around? I'm guessing you mean Marty Brodeur. I'm gonna go with the Dominator on this one. To me, he is the greatest goaltender of all time. 6 Vezina trophies. He's the only goaltender in NHL history to win the Hart Trophy twice as league's MVP. He's won a ton of Jennings, he's a multiple-time Stanley Cup champion, and he's even an Olympic Olympic gold medalist for the Czech Republic. Yeah, sure, he doesn't have the shutouts, the wins, or the games played that Marty Brodeur does, and obviously you can't go wrong with Marty Brodeur either if you choose him, but for me personally, I'm taking Prime Hasek over Prime Marty Brodeur. And now for the final comment of the video, this comes from Brandon, who says, would you rather have the best power play but the worst penalty kill, or the best penalty kill but the worst power play? Okay, I really just had to sit here and think about that one for a minute or two. I don't really think there's a right answer to this necessarily. Everybody knows the age-old saying, defense wins championships, so just going by that, I guess I'll go with having the worst power play but the best penalty kill. Either way, they kind of cancel each other out, don't they? I don't know, this was a really good one. But that is going to do it for today's Would You Rather. Like I said at the start of the video, I am sort of struggling for ideas right now, so if there are any videos you guys want to see in the near future, be sure to let me know down in the comment section. I'm always open to hearing your guys' ideas. Also, be sure to let me know your picks for these Would You Rather questions down below in the comment section. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave it a like. That is the best way to show your support. And most importantly, if you're new to the channel and you want more NHL content just like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will talk to you all in the next video.